Hi, I'm Lowri Haf Cooke. I'm a film critic, and today I have the great pleasure, the company of Marc Evans, who is an amazing director, and Leisa Gwenllian, who, well, she plays her debut role in Effi and Blaenau here in Wales, and I'm thrilled to have your company today. I'm familiar with the original drama by Gary Owen, and that had such a profound effect on me and so many theatre goers in Wales and beyond. I saw it up in the Fringe Festival in Edinburgh back in 2015, first of all, then the Welsh translated version at the Sherman Theatre in Cardiff in 2024. And at the time understood that a film was being made of it. And not only being made of it, it was actually being transplanted from Splot in Cardiff to Eryri, Snowdonia in North Wales, and it was being translated into the Welsh. I was certainly excited, but also a little anxious, but I've had the chance to see the film now, and it has blown me away once more. Leisa Gwenllian gives the most incredible performance in a traumatic, triggering, absolutely powerful powerhouse performance as Effi, who has already been described by many critics as just a star-making turn. And Marc, who is, of course, familiar to all of us as a director of so many fantastic works, most recently, perhaps Mr. Burton with Annie Lawton, Toby Jones, Heritage film.
Yeah, another rite of passage, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, I just want to welcome you, and I just want to say thank you so much for letting me ask all these questions today, because I know, certainly as a viewer, I was struck immediately by the fact that there's so much to process, there's so much to discuss, and I hope for viewers out there, this is a bit of a kind of a space to start processing all of the themes that are ever present in this film, and I hope that people will really want to discuss it further within their own community, with friends, because there's plenty in this film to get into. So let's get into it. Leisa, congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm almost a bit scared of speaking to Effi, I must say.
She's a piece of work, isn't she?
Yeah.
Honestly, Diolch, thank you so much. She is one of a kind, isn't she?
She really is, yeah.
Tell me about your relationship with Effi. Where did your friendship begin?
Yeah, well, we actually go back a long time. I read the play for the first time as a teenager and, quite immediately fell in love with her, as did everyone else. And I thought, wow, what a part. I think, she's a bit of a dream role for every kind of young Welsh actress, and so I dabbled with a bit of Effi. I did some of the monologues at the Eisteddfod, our national kind of festival where we celebrate the arts. And then I auditioned for drama school with Effi as well, and so I felt like I knew her pretty well. And then when I received this script and heard that this project was being made, I was like, immediately, you must get me on board. And not only is it Effi, but it's Effi in Welsh, and it's my kind of Welsh, it's my dialect, it's like a North Welsh Effi, and so that was just on top of everything else. That was completely just so exciting.
This isn't Gavin and Stacey, is it?
No. It's I think, I don't know, there's not loads of representation of kind of North Welsh voices on screen, and so I think that felt really important to me, and Blaenau specifically as well, to give this beautiful pocket of Wales an audience. Not that it needs it. It's a very creative place. A lot of our great musicians have come from Blaenau. Beautiful people, beautiful culture, but to be able to go to Blaenau and film this incredible story in my language with really talented people, just what an absolute privilege,
Marc, how did you come across Effi, and did you feel that you were the right person
I
for
didn't know-
the role of director?
I didn't know her as well as Leisa knew her. And I also felt that I wasn't the right person to direct it, to be honest, because it's a paradox, because Gary Owen, who wrote Effi, is male and has got this amazing ear and can male or female, writes these characters, and I don't know how his radar works, but he's really good at writing these characters that jump off the page in such an authentic way, and there was an authentic Cardiff voice before, and I felt that was an imposter on two levels, really. One was, it felt like it should be a woman's film, and a woman director should be doing it. And that's partly to do with not just the story, but the process of filming and the male gaze and the way that it's a very intimate film. It's got lots of tricky scenes in it for a young female actor, and I felt it would have been really, and it's a female voice, right? So and the other side of the coin was, I'm from South Wales, not from North Wales, and there's this slight feeling, even within your own culture, which you feel like you're allowed to do stuff in a bit more than, I would never probably do it in somebody else's culture, but I'm still moving something from here to there, and do they want that to land?
Yeah.
So the way of solving both those problems is, so briefly, once I was kind of like persuaded that it was me who was going to direct it, which I was quite glad about, really. I thought, well, maybe you just try and feminize your crew as much as possible, and in particular, and this is to do with the kind of film it is and how I like to shoot, is the DOP.
Tell me about Eira.
Well, Eira Wyn-Jones, I was tipped off that she existed by Lee, actually, another director, and he said, "Oh, check Eira out," and I found it kind of a bit of a cold call. You don't know me, but I'm used to spoke Welsh.
Cardiff calling Paris.
Cardiff calling Paris, but Cardiff calling Anglesey in Paris.
Yeah.
So Eira comes from Anglesey, from a rural community. Was brought up speaking Welsh. And we immediately hit it off speaking in Welsh, and that was our relationship. That was the language of our relationship ever since. And I sort of persuaded her to come on. I didn't really know. I mean, I'd seen a bit of her work, but she felt immediately like the right person for the job. So that was one kind of box ticked. If that doesn't sound too silly. And the first AD was female, the editor was female. And so that was part of that journey. And the second one was really taking Gary up to... The reason why I want to go to Blaenau is basically it's a linguistic one, because Effi, the original Effi, was a Cardiff character, and she spoke Cardiff. And I know Cardiff because I brought up in Cardiff. Mm-hmm. It's a vernacular of this city, right? Strong as Scousing is in Liverpool or Geordie's Eye. It's a kind of thing. And
especially in Splot.
Yeah, especially in Splot. And you go, well... If this is a Welsh language, it's a drama, not a monologue, right? But if this is a Welsh language piece, then people, and this is a complex and nuanced thing, but I won't go on about it. But basically, where Welsh sits in the city is different to where it sits in North Wales. Yeah. And in North Wales, they live and breathe and fight and love and dream and sing and talk in Welsh. And there's two places I think. It's funny when you were talking in introduction, and when there's this difference between the Welsh language. We talked earlier in Welsh. When you say Eryri, and you say they're set in Eryri, and you say it's like a really beautiful town, we're not shooting this in a little cottage on top of the hill with goats and things and Heidi or something. This is like post-industrial ways. This is like visually a tough town. It's a town that's defined by the sly heaps of slate that used to be part of, is a waste product of an industry that's no longer there. It's a post-industrial place, right? It's isolated. So I would probably say, I think Leisa would agree, the two towns, because this is a street story, it's an urban story, that would be totally acceptable as Welsh-speaking towns would be Caernarfon or Blaenau. Yeah. And as a director, you go, can I have Blaenau, please?
Visually.
Because Blaenau's amazing, looking. I'm not saying Caernarfon isn't, we're in Caernarfon, but Caernarfon's in the film as well, so in a way, it's a two-town.
And it has been appropriated in the past, even back to the Sticks happiness, I mean, yes, it's visually a gift. Yeah. And there is a risk, isn't there, of turning it into a cliche.
Totally, and also, there's a certain sense in which cliches tell the truth, because you have the same problem in the valleys. I've made so many films in the valleys, and Talbot, in those, for similar reasons, because it's a working class town with character, and it's got a visual aspect to it that tells you it's a working class town with character, so it gets appropriated by different films. Mm-hmm. So then you just have got the confidence and, if you like, the I don't want to sound too, heroic, like a confidence and a sort of sensitivity of approach that goes, I think I can make this film here and make it feel, and that's really about who you populate the film with and how you shoot it.
Well, certainly as the viewer, yeah, those kind of concerns, and in my head too, especially as a Welsh girl, a Welsh critic, and you're only a Welsh critic because you care, about the representation of Wales, but certainly.
And there's been so many occasions, haven't there, Lowri, where you look at things and you go, the accent's a bit off, and I'm so aware of that as I feel I'm always representing the country when I'm making a film, and you go, just make the film, but there's always something that people have to take issue with because you haven't got it right. But it's a film, it's not a documentary, you know what I mean?
It is, and I think this is what Effi does to you as a viewer. I mean, I woke up at 5 a.m. the next day, and I even had John Redwood in my head, his words about, the single mothers of St Mellons back in the 90s,
Well, that's bullshit,
So many things have hit me. It's incredibly triggering in so many ways as a female, as a Welsh person. But good God, one of those new scenes that isn't actually present in the original drama is Yvonne, the next door neighbour, when she is... I mean, you can't blame her, but jeepers, for the first sense, when she is, allowing Effi to drink the vodka, and she is scathing, the visceral hatred coming out of Yvonne, who of course has been body shamed, has been bullied by Effi previously, so you can't actually blame her. But first of all, I thought, oh my God, there's no way I'd do that to my fellow woman. But then you go, hang on now, she can, because it's interesting that you've actually, in that very short sort of scene, turned Yvonne, a very minor character, you've given her a soul, a beating heart and feelings of herself. Yeah. And that word that she uses, Jesus, that stabbed me. Slag. Oh my God,
she slags off.
And then I saw the slag heaps of Blaenau, but also it connects with the same slag heaps in the Rhondda Valleys, for example, where my family's from, And so it just solidifies for me that Effi is Wales also, isn't it? And how exhilarating it is to see a very specific story about a very specific young woman dealing with, a world of troubles, but that actually she speaks not only for all of us here in Wales, but I suspect, having read an awful lot of reviews, incredible 4-star review by Peter Bradshaw in The Guardian, for example, Hollywood Reporter, Stream Daily, really connecting with it and realising that Effi speaks for everyone.
Hopefully, yeah. I think just on a human level, you see humans being really nasty to each other in this film, but you also see, humans loving each other. And I think that encounter with Lee that night, I think you see that kind of that soft Effi and that power that she has, the way she can get people to open up to her and be vulnerable with her. And I think seeing, I think Tom Rhys Harris's portrayal of Lee is such a beautiful one, because you really see him, being sensitive and seeing that, a man, a disabled man as well, showing that kind of emotion on screen, I think is a really beautiful thing. And I think showing the love as well as the kind of the toughness and the horrible kind of swear words and the nasty language, I think we wanted to show.
We see Effi's beauty in that.
Absolutely.
I mean, the fact that she sees beauty, she sort of apologises and actually is honest and saying, yeah, it is scary, it is ugly, but actually there's beauty in it. And isn't that true beauty? And true love, actually. That scene also, am I right, ladies? How triggering. And I know, for example, that you have an intimacy coordinator working on this film, which is, of course, has become a role that's almost essential in filmmaking now.
Yeah, Leisa Gwenllian, she's great.
But also watching that scene, I was so angry for Effi, having obviously seen the play already. I was thinking to myself, actually, you need a faked intimacy coordinator, don't you, for for Lee's character, because you want to have a seminar and you just want to grill that actor going, what the devil was in your mind, young man, you know?
Well, yeah, I think it's
brutal.
It is brutal, but it's such an important part of the story. It's such a turning point. And I think we talked a lot about that scene, me, Marc and Tom and Lisa, the intimacy coordinator. And I think what was so important to get across was that night was so much more than just kind of like a casual transactional encounter. It was, these two people really connected on a human level, and Effi's not a silly girl for thinking that it was something more.
Also, it's performative, right? It's performative because she goes, and this is the sort of nuanced area of those sort of scenes. It's like, for me, sex scenes and violent scenes in films often have to have a purpose and a meaning. And the meaning was that I am gifting you my sexual confidence because you've been fucked by war and you lost your leg. So there's two levels to the scene. One is Effi's desire to love downwards, if you like, and to she takes control of that situation.
Yeah.
Kind of in one sense cures him of his complete lack of self-belief because of what's happened to him.
Does she?
Well, no. Well, I don't know. But what I'm saying is that story has got. It's not just you knew the story before you saw the scene, but in that scene, and you'd have to talk to Tom about this. But in that scene, people put themselves in situations and don't always think about the implications while they're in a situation, especially when you're young, right? When you're old, for that matter, but especially when you're young. So I felt that scene was about two young people as well. It wasn't just about, it's a spoiler alert here, but presumably people who listen to this will have seen the film. But it's not just about a trick, from Tom's point of view. Otherwise she's more of a fool.
This is what is so rich about this film. This is why I implore everyone to just have discussions. Everything is political in this film. Everything is political in life, but sex is certainly political.
And also sex and the relationship between sex and social media and where Effi thinks her power lives, really. And what comes through it, and I think this is what Leisa does that makes the film so successful, is that I shouldn't say that, that I think makes the film really connect. In my eyes, is that you always connect with Effi. So it's not really about somebody who's thinking about the political in the meta sense. It's somebody who's like trying to make the best job of where she is with the information she's got. And that was really, I think, one of the main differences between the film and the play. Not to have to refer to the play all the time. Obviously, it's his own thing, really. But it is interesting to do that. Is I felt that this was like a post-digital version of it, because she starts as somebody who's looking at the phone as a mirror. The phone's a mirror on Effi, and she can't even see the woman next door, the girl next door. And the journey she goes, which is very short, but actually it's very long, is she sees her. And it's not polemical like the play. It doesn't go like, it doesn't turn on an audience. It says, talks to the audience. She just sees somebody she didn't see before.
It's interesting. Meg at the beginning of the film says something quite succinct. She accuses Effi, doesn't she? And have no self-respect.
Yeah.
I actually see Effi, throughout the film, she's not lacking in self-respect. She's angry, yeah, she's livid. And there are examples. For example, when she seeks Lee, she seeks answers, she seeks a catharsis to, what was this? That shows her self-respect. But certainly, what I see how the film's been framed and the new ending, as it were, to this story. I personally was profoundly moved by the ending. That cements for me who Effi is and what the story is, which is a story about love, self-respect, and community. Yeah. And that idea that she is, like so many of us and so many young people of all ages, certainly in these times of social media and the digital age, we're seeking so much validation from outside ourselves. Exactly. And that's exactly what we see her doing. And yet, that beautiful realization towards the end of knowing that, you know, her beauty, her self-respect, you know, everything is within her and within her community.
And her community, exactly. I think, you know, she discovers at the end of the film that everything she's been seeking is, you know, it's right next door. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's the beauty in telling these stories about these rural communities, and there's so much strength there. And as you say, you know, she's not afraid to stand up for herself. There's no, you know, well, I was going to say there's no naivety. Maybe, you know, there's being young, you are naive in many ways, but it's that spirit, and I think you fall in love with her so much because of her willingness to fight back, and she never falls victim to this system that tries so hard to beat people like Effi down, and it's such a cruel, uncaring system, and it doesn't care about people like her, and it doesn't care about her baby, and it doesn't, you know, it's so unforgiving, and that's why I think I loved that ending so much when Marc posed that ending to me, because it wasn't actually that originally, and so that's why I'm so glad that we used that final shot of her. I won't sing, but yeah, I think it's a perfect ending for our film, for our story, isn't it? And for her spirit.
You sort of arrived at it, really, and I think that's the way quite often in films you don't quite know how it's gonna sit, and then it seemed like the right way to go, because, you know, Amor Heat, basically, they are still there, aren't they? And it's like the thing is, I think the thing that makes you really attracted to Leisa's portrayal of the character as well, she feels like she's got love to give, but she doesn't know how to give it because of what's happened to her, and you know what's happened to her, like in the background, really. You can make little connections to she used to have a structure on her life. She went swimming, perhaps she went swimming with her dad, did she, with her mum? We don't know, but we can guess these things, right? And then there's a picture of her, and it was a deliberate shot of the young Effi, like standing with her like that.
Yeah,
it's a podcast, isn't it? I was standing with her arms like a little champion, like a swimming champion. And then the structure goes, society goes, and sort of what's the word? The structure of love around her goes. So she's then in a situation where she goes, I don't know what to do with this, and I'm just going to get pissed, really, and take some drugs and have a laugh and be good at sex, right?
To do with
yeah. And I don't think she particularly wants to. She's found herself. She's stuck in this cycle, and I don't think she really wants to get out of it, because why would you? You know, there's.
Well, the first voiceover. There's only two voiceovers in it. The first one is about a cycle.
Yeah.
Of sublimation, of like, you know, and that's something that is a very, very common experience.
Well, it is, especially when there's not many opportunities, there's nothing, you know, there's not loads of support, and I think what changes...
Friday I'm in love, isn't it? It's like a song.
Yeah, big
Every
time.
Friday I'm in love, basically.
Yeah. But then that night changes it all, doesn't it, really? And then you see that transformation. That's what's so beautiful. That's the beauty of Gary's story, I think, is that true kind of transformation and that arc, and as an actor, that's all you want, really, is, you know, be given. It's a gift. It's an absolute gift.
What a gift of a role.
Yeah,
for your.
It truly is.
I'm saying cinematic debut. Yes, you've got another 2 films coming out this year that you filmed prior to Effi, but this will be the first time that
well, you
many
own this film. I said this is you and Ada own this film.
Yeah, Marc
because the
said that
two girls
from the beginning.
Yeah, tell us a bit about your relationship with the director of photography, Ada Jones.
Ada, I wish you could meet her. She's wonderful. She's a talent, and was such an integral part of this film and of my performance and portrayal of Effi in this film as well. I think she's a mother, and so we spoke a lot about that, and yeah, I just really didn't appreciate before doing this film the importance of your relationship with your DOP, you know, especially in those.
She operates as well, so it's the lens, really, isn't it?
Yeah, and those intimate scenes, and those scenes where you feel particularly vulnerable and you feel, oh, this is, quite exposing, to have a DOP like Eira right beside you is, it makes a massive difference. And, don't want to leave Marc out of it. We were such a trio. No, it is, as director, DOP and lead actor, it's really important that you get that right and that you establish that trust. And that's, thankfully what we were able to do really, really early on, because I think it would have been a different experience and a different performance had I.
We were quickly, didn't we? We were quickly. That's the thing. It's fast and nimble and small. That's such a lovely thing from a director point of view. Just like it was like a little travelling troupe walking around, brilliant, making a film. That's you could start to own the set a little bit more. Nobody tells you what to do, and the producers are very supportive and hands off, and we just got on with it.
It was a short turnaround, was it?
It was just a short. It's just a low budget film, But it also was a contemporary film, so you're not, dressing sets for period. It's like a film that's shot in the place it's meant to be, with people speaking the language that they're meant to be. It wasn't back to back. It wasn't like using accents and all that stuff that is part of the craft. And you mentioned Mr. Burton. Mr. Burton is a film where all those other considerations go into it, like technique and stuff, different kind of technique. But this is about intimacy and about immediacy and about giving Leisa and the other actors space to kind of feel free, I hope.
That's the way Marc works and runs his sets. It's a very relaxed environment and a collaborative one, and Marc really listens. And I don't think I'd had that experience as much before. I think when
it's quite industrial, isn't it? Italian stuff.
And there's time is money, and I just never felt so included in the kind of creative decisions, and just didn't have anyone who believed in me so much and listened to me so much. I think when you're a young woman starting out and I don't have much experience, and so why would people take me seriously, I suppose. But I really felt that support really early on, from Marc and Branwen Kennard, the producer, as well. They really believed in me, and it was a true collaboration, wasn't it?
The other thing is, you need stamina. I know young actors have got more stamina, but also the young actors give you so much that you've got to manage that a little bit. So it's on every day.
Effi, you have to give 100% to this. Exactly. Unique, singular character.
Yeah, you do.
How on earth do you do it?
with some great people and some great support and a great script and a great team, and that is the secret recipe. It's there's no technique. It's just about
hard work, though. So you work really hard. You always in the lines. There's a core strength there, So
but all of us did, and we feed off of each other. You see how seriously everyone else is taking it, and so you think, oh God, I better up my game. And
you mentioned, the word support and trust. That is evident, that, and you feel that as the viewer. That's how we believe in Effi, and that is how we fall in love with Effi too.
Yeah. And almost have to just turn away sometimes. You're like, oh my God, she's not going to do that, is she?
Yeah,
and she does.
Oh, no,
she always does. Yeah, always does.
Which is why the story and the arc and the resolution is so incredibly satisfying. Certainly in my case, but certainly, if I may quote, some of these incredible reviews that already have come in following your premiere at the Glasgow Film Festival. So, Peter Bradshaw in The Guardian, he describes Leisa's performance. A force of nature, and then you've got, is it Alan Hunter, who wrote for Screen Daily? My goodness, he got it. Everyone gets it. This is what's so thrilling.
That is thrilling when people get it.
They get it.
When they criticise the film you made, that's always satisfying. If they criticise your film for something if they misunderstood the film, you feel like ringing them up personally or going around their house and stalking them. But when the critique is within understanding the film, that's fine. They can say what they like about it.
Here in Wales, this is just prior to the release in June, and of course we're in a very, very interesting time where we'll have the Welsh election in a matter of weeks, and certainly it works as a companion piece to everything that's happening here at the moment, including the world. But in Screen Daily, Alan writes. You could certainly stick this in a manifesto and people would go vote for Effi, I know that. Effi or Blaenau slowly wins your heart, revealing Effi to be stuck in a world that never gives her a chance. How can she thrive in a society where there is no hope, no jobs, basic services are failing the population? An individual story reflects a country in crisis, transforming the film into a state of the nation. How? What a relief it is to read those words from somebody who's not from Wales, and that's what cements it for me. Effi isn't just in Blaenau, she's not just in Blaenau Ffestiniog, she is Wales, isn't she?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting to me because I grew up with a slight aversion to political filmmaking as much as it felt like eating your greens, You have to go to the cinema and go, and there are great filmmakers involved in that genre. But, what I've discovered with this film is that people aren't making those films quite as much anymore.
No.
So it almost felt kind of refreshing the genre a bit as opposed to repeating it, if you know what I mean. And that sounds a bit big-headed, but what I mean by that is that it's from here now in a post-industrial, post-digital age. So even though the story is a story, I saw, as you say, a story that's been there forever, it's like this is today's version of it. And I was talking to somebody the other day, and they said to me that it was John Davis, a historian, I think. He said, the most common theme throughout Welsh history is poverty. If you want one thing that defines Wales, so here we are again. It's about a character who's poor.
Yeah.
That's basically the problem. Effi's basic problem is she's poor in so many ways. But obviously, we would say rich in other ways because she's got a community. She's got, she lives. People live inside this language and culture as well, don't they? So it's very vibrant. But it's it's here we are again. And I would really, if anybody listens to this podcast and they're wondering whether you're going to see it or not, you don't come out of this film being feeling, I don't think, browbeaten by a political point of view. No. You come out with loving Effi, and that's Leisa's job. That is the job she did so well because, if the character's young and she's got energy and she's got love to give, and in fact that will get you through a lot of situations that are quite hard to watch. And she's funny.
She is.
And a pain in the ass.
She is, and that's also Gary. It's just the script, the way he's written this, powerhouse of a character. She's an incredible woman, and
so I thought we'd be censored of it because she says some very bad things really early in the film.
Really bad things. I was surprised.
Oh no, it's all about authenticity now.
Exactly. Got to let me say
what she was her grandmother. I can't even say.
Yeah, won't repeat it.
On the political note, I was just reminding myself of the richness of your career as director. It's interesting, of course, you've spent more time in television now than film for a while. It's almost back to back now, Mr. Burton and Effi.
It's like
have you sort of come back to your first love?
It feels like a second chance. It does, yeah. And it was sort of not particularly deliberate. Nothing is in this world, this crazy world of show. You just don't know how it's going to turn out. But I was when I started out, film and television were two different animals, and I was determined to be a film guy, because all of it. Well, just try and make films, and I did. I stuck with it. And after about 7, it ground me down, and you just try and get a grown-up job. And then, but the world changes all the time, doesn't it? It's like, you can make a brief comparison, for example, with music, where you go, oh my God, streaming is ruining the record industry. And then what happens? Live music becomes the thing. So equally, you can say television is taken over from film because there's no difference now really for an actor or director working television. Television is so cinematic and fantastic. So it's not like two different mediums now, is it? But equally what's come back is this sort of kind of cinema where, for example, I think people, not everybody, but some people seek out the subtitle film, like people seek out a gig. They go, I don't want to go and see something which is a little bit different and not generic and maybe from somewhere else.
Well,
and then go to the cinema to see it.
That category, for example, in the Oscars or the Golden Globes or Best International Feature.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, this year, I can reel them off. Sentimental Value from Norway, Sirat from Spain and Morocco, The Secret Agent from Brazil. These are political stories, very personal takes on the refugee crisis, fascism, and generational trauma. Yeah. And I see Effi in Blaenau totally standing shoulder to shoulder with these international films, with a specific story, a universal theme, and audiences they have absolutely no qualms about watching a film with subtitles.
No, I think that's true. And also, I think when you work in Wales, especially if you work in Welsh, doubly so if you work in Welsh, you sort of always feel you're trying to do two things. One is like to try and make a film that speaks to Welsh people and to see themselves represented and all that stuff that's so important. But also you want a film that you can take somewhere else and other people see you. It's almost like sometimes they're contradictory a little bit because, you know, representation is such a big subject now, isn't it? And you know, again, like and process, and as a director, you can be very, like we were talking earlier about, you know, gender and all that stuff in the way that you make stuff. But if you can sort of try and aim for both, so you can export yourself and see yourself, then that's kind of the, you know, and there's no reason to be scared of that, because in a way, a smaller film, this low budget film, just got to make it, see what happens, and you know, if you get lucky, find Leisa, and you find Ayla, and you get a story that, you know, starts to work, then equally it could have been a film that didn't work so well, and that's important because it's about making stuff really, and that's been what's been difficult about cinema in the last couple of years. It's like it's really hard to get a film made.
Yeah, didn't it take you like, this has been in the making for 10 years or something, isn't it? Yeah.
I'm thinking, oh my God, how would I love for Effi to be seen like with a double bill? It could be seen as a companion piece to Kneecap from Northern Ireland, or Yorgos Lanthimos' The Killing of a Sacred Deer, because they both got the same origin story. Iphigenia.
Yeah.
So about the international response. Tell me about. So far so good. Tell me about your experience in Glasgow. Leisa, you were a bit taken aback, am I right?
I was. I really didn't expect, you know, I don't know, I think, yeah, as Marc was saying there, when you make a Welsh film, it's hard to you know, get it out there and get people out of Wales to see it and to get it, and people really got it in Glasgow. It's an amazing film festival. I hadn't been before, and yeah, you know, that experience of sitting with all of these, you know, people, a lot of them not from Wales, didn't really know anything about the language, and to see how much it had affected them, I was really taken aback by it, and just that sense of pride, you know, to see our language there, you know, and the North Welsh as well. It was a really special evening, and it's just filled me with confidence for the future of Welsh language cinema, I think. And yes, I think it's really, I mean, selfishly for me as an actor, it's great news that I think we're going to be working in the Welsh language for a long time, hopefully, and that is really exciting, and is one of the reasons why I wanted to be an actor, is because, you know, I want to work in Welsh, you know, it's my first language, and it's, you know, it's where my heart is. So yeah, it's looking good, I think, hopefully. Well, we'll see.
Kneecap's interesting, isn't it? Because Kneecap, in a way, I find Kneecap really interesting, because Kneecap in a way is like a film that's about the language in a way. And the history of Wales has been so different to the history of Ireland. And yet there's this linguistic aspect which has been politicised, and the language gets used in different ways. And it's really interesting with Kneecap because, you know, we've stopped making films about the language, and I think that's a sign of good
maturity.
Well, you know, I don't know, I'm knocking Kneecap, I think it's brilliant, but what I'm saying is, like, we don't need to. Somebody said to me once, if you're in a relationship, right, I don't know if this is true, and all you talk about is the relationship, your relationship is bad.
Like so, people on Facebook who find themselves by their
so if you're in Wales, all you talk about is Wales, it's kind of calm down a little bit. It's like, you know, it's a little bit inside baseball, as the Americans say. So I think, I'm hoping that Effi doesn't feel like a film which is the Welsh discussing each other with each other.
Well, I spoke with the producer, Blaenau Ffestiniog, and she said she was super proud of three main things. And actually, this is the first opportunity that I get to do it, to sort of discuss this film in English. And yeah, it's inevitable in a way for people outside of the Welsh language that maybe the Welsh language should be discussed. And it's almost like the last thing you want to be doing, isn't it? It's not a story. But Blaenau said that she was enormously proud of three things, which is that the name isn't an issue. Nobody's picked up on that so far.
No.
Leisa Gwenllian as a new name, fact that, you know, you haven't been long established, not an issue whatsoever, and the fact that nobody wanted to change anything about it. I mean, is that true?
Yeah, it is. We were very left alone. I think that's the great thing that's happening in Wales at the moment. You come under the radar a bit, make your film, and that is the best feeling ever. It's like being making an indie record in my day. It'd be like going like this. Like, it feels a bit. I think it's a combination of being free and maybe having a little bit of experience as well. You know, if you can get those two things, so you try and you be a little bit strategic about trying to get your film in places, trying to make films that actually you might be able to afford to make, and make films that maybe you will. And then you don't know. Then you don't know. Then once you make them, and as you cut them, and as they sort of become a thing, you don't know how they're going to do. I felt really blessed in the last two films in different ways. Mr. Birdman, they seem to like found their audience. It's amazing.
Can I go back to 1997?
Yeah.
It just struck me that when House of America came out, obviously the Assembly came to being here in Wales.
Really, yeah.
And now, obviously, we're in a different political era, and whatever is going to be happening over the next few weeks, so just prior to the film release, there will be a brand new government in Wales. How have you changed, and how has your vision for Wales on screen changed?
The vision is a big one. I'm not sure I've got a vision, but I think probably more reactive, really, in a way. I just think when we were doing House of America, we were in Sundance with House of America and Twin Town. Twin Town's like an amazing, so much affection for that film as a cult film and a funny film. And I suppose we were like the slightly less funny, more sort of arty brother. And, and we were there with these two films, and it felt like a moment. But those two films, in a way, have a similarity of theme a little bit, which is we live in a dump, nobody takes us seriously, and we're sort of giving two fingers to the world. And and Effi's a different film. I think it's a different attitude. I mean, the fact is in Welsh also is you could say is a progression, although there were films in Welsh then, and vice versa. Now there's films that are in English out of Wales and some really good ones. But it just feels like that's not conscious for me, to be honest. That's more like seeing what's in front of you and working with what's there, and sort of how much a product of that as somebody who's, maybe if you could say with films do influence people a little bit, maybe, it's to do your product of your time. I mean, films are a product of their time, aren't they, really?
It feels like the anger in Effi and Blaenau is a more positive energy, a more positive force. Yeah. And I just remember what you told me earlier about when I asked you to really, if you were to define who Effi is at heart, you told me that she's just full of love, isn't she? Even at her worst.
I think so. She's full of this love, and she's never known, where to put it and what to do with it, because, I think but by the end of the film, you see that there's so much love in her life, but maybe she's not always felt that. And at the heart of it, it's a harrowing watch, but there's so much love and so much community, and I really hope that we celebrate Blaenau as a place and these rural communities. And I think the narrative is changing, that even though there's clear issues and a lot of people who live in rural poverty, there's a lot of kind of these people are forgotten about a lot of the time, but these places are definitely not dumps. They're amazing, creative places full of tough people who are full of love and really close-knit communities. And I hope you can see that in our film,
So it was strange because people would be saying it's what a political film is, because there's so many critiques in it, if you like. It's like critiquing what's happening with the National Health Service, what's happening with society, what's happening with, this world that young people find themselves in with social media and stuff. But it was unwittingly political, because we were just telling a story of this girl when we shot it.
Yeah.
This girl in this place. And it's almost like there's nothing extraordinary about that story in one sense. Yeah. It's like it could be any girl in any town kind of thing, to use that cliche. But then once you've made it, you realize, oh my God, there's like so much stuff in here that she's got to deal with. Every it's like cycles of hell. Every chapter of her life, it's like is a discovery of a new problem. You know what I mean?
It comes from a Greek tragedy, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It does, I suppose. Yeah.
Listen, I want to thank you so much. This for me has been enormously cathartic to have been able to. I don't know, the process of processing this incredible film. I, for one, am really looking forward to discussing it.
That's really great, wouldn't it? If people can have this kind of discussion about it in a pub or at home afterwards, or
that's what you want, really, isn't it? For people to think and to, I hope it makes people think.
Yeah, so go share the love, and just keep talking and discussing and Diolch o galon.
Croeso.
Thank you so much both, Leisa and Marc.
Croeso.
Diolch yn fawr iawn.
Diolch.